you, mate.
I will say this about investing. Everything you do learn is cumulative. What I learned at 20 is useful.
Hey, welcome back to Is There Any Money In? We've got a hard out because we've got some money on a harness race that we need to follow. Myself, Ed Cavalier, your equity mates are here. And let's spin the bottle. Oh, my God. It's back to you, my man.
Let's go.
Alec. Bryce. I just called you Alec. I've been up since too early. Bryce, it's back to you. Hi, I'll be Rob Mills for this one.
So, guys, today we are answering the question, is there money in stadium tours?
Nice.
Concert stadium tours.
This is great because the Taylor Swift Global Mega Train is about to spin back around. Beyonce's back on stage through Europe. And Elton John just went to that big green room in the sky and said that he would no longer take part. And also the Eagles have announced that they will no longer be doing tours. They're doing a farewell tour as well, as is Kiss, who are bringing their farewell tour to Australia. This is a perfect time to do this.
Don't a lot of those bands...
Don't you say it. Don't you say it.
What? Say it.
They're on perpetual farewell tours.
Oh, boo,
Yes.
you're a bad guy.
And
You're a bad guy.
Obviously,
Whatever your name is, you're a bad guy.
there is obviously a reason for it. But let's start, as we always have, with a score out of 10.
This is a 50.
50.
This is, in terms of things that we've spoken about, is there any money in? Stadium tours for bands is a 50 out of 10.
Now, I agree with Ed that in terms of top-line revenue, you're kicking the doors down. I feel like Beyonce contributed to inflation in Sweden.
She did. That was a great story.
Yeah.
It's also such a lame story.
I know.
but anyway.
It's also like, oh, wow. Anyway,
It's
let's
like-
not go... Of
Anyway,
course it
of course it did.
I love when you two get highbrow about finance.
It's like next minute it'll be like, oh, the Brisbane Olympics contributed to inflation.
Yeah.
No,
You shut up. It will not. It will
It's
bloody
like-
not. It'll be a bargain for a beautiful town.
It's like a massive influx of people buying a scarce
Oh,
good.
This is.
Anyway.
I'd like to tap out. This is
Anyway,
communism.
But are we going to look at, is it profitable or...
if you want to look at, is it profitable?
Okay, because I'm going to say, like, blow the lights out in terms of top-line revenue, but I feel like you're not going to clear a lot of
You're
money.
crazy. That's crazy talk.
I'm
That's
just-
officially crazy talk.
I'm just saying it because it's controversial.
Yeah, finally.
Put a pin on that because
shock.
it is. There are some big numbers. So in 1969, the Rolling Stones went on tour, and you could get a ticket for $5 to $8. In inflated prices, that's between.
And they were big in the 60s?
Big
You're
in
not
the
just
60s.
choosing
No,
like
no,
a-
no. At the time,
They'd
that
hit
was-
by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that for adjusted for inflation is $40 to $60. In the 90s, tickets were about $50 on average, but today the average stadium tour ticket is $370.
How much of that is Ticketmaster's service fee, though?
Not a lot. Not a lot.
What?
Yeah, but prices, we are in an era of super stadium concerts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I just quickly, Madonna, the girly tour, mid-90s in Sydney, and then back-to-back with U2's Zoo TV tour, and then Michael Jackson's last tour to Australia. I worked at the Sydney Football Stadium and the Sydney Cricket Ground as a drinks and ice cream seller at all of those gigs. And I can tell you that there was money in selling ice creams and drinks at those events. And that was in 90s money of 60,000 people at those things.
Wow.
Pretty epic job that you get to see the concert for free. While
It was so good.
Yeah.
Especially Madonna's one, because there were boobs in it.
So let's be clear here. Stadium tours, we're not talking about arenas.
Yeah, thank you.
We're not talking
I don't
about
want any fucking
arenas.
arenas.
No,
Hold on,
no,
hold
no.
on. Arenas.
For the layman amongst us.
Ah, boo.
What's the
Yeah,
difference?
so we're talking 40,000 plus.
And what an arena is like
40,000 sub.
Okay,
Sub
yeah,
40,000.
Because you get those American
You get
arenas.
Ice hockey arena.
Yeah, thank you.
You get
I'm so happy you've made that
No,
distinction.
We're talking, you can sell out a crowd of 40 to 100,000. And
Love
in Ed
it.
Sheeran's case, 130,000
Okay,
at the MCG.
so for clarification, Berkshire Hathaway, arena or...
Arena.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we're
easily
talking-
arena.
We're talking like MCG size.
Absolutely. Like we're
okay.
talking stadiums. And we're in an era where live music is back. More and more people are going to shows. Prices are skyrocketing. In 2001, Billboard Box Score reported that the top 100 music concerts of the year or tours collectively generated $350 million in revenue. By 2015, the top 25 concerts alone grossed just 350. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Now we are on track for 2 tours in the next probably 2 years to gross upwards of $1 billion each, which is Beyonce and Taylor Swift. Unbelievable.
Do you know who's the best at this? When you go see Ed Sheeran, it's one guy with a little guitar and some videos in the background and a backing tape. Now, he does this terrible thing where he goes, I play all them instruments on this backing tape. And he takes you through how it's like just him looped over himself. So it's not just a guy with a backing tape. Mate, own it. Walk out there,
100%.
literally push
Yeah.
play on a Casio tape deck and then start singing.
Rehearsal costs gone. Yeah.
Other band,
And-
people, dancers.
And full credit to
Zero. He's like a stand-up comic. He's like a stand-up comedian.
Costumes, like
Costumes.
And full credit to Sheeran. The maximum ticket price that wasn't obviously scalped, $88.
Yeah.
Very accessible.
Really?
Anyone can go and see him play.
An everyman.
So
Swifty.
you're not going to talk about Garth Brooks, are you?
No.
So the best-selling artist of the 90s by a incredible distance is Garth Brooks, and he had a degree in marketing. Country crossover artist. Here is his song "I've Got Friends in Low Places."
Places where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues.
Thank you, producer.
Nice.
Did a stadium tour in the 90s. Capped the ticket price at $20.
Wow.
In ensuring that everything was an incredibly massive sellout.
Yeah.
He is so far, people never talk about him, he is so far the biggest selling artist of the 90s. It's a quadruple anyone else.
There's this famous clip of Nirvana finding out that I think it's like Kylie or Madonna or someone is charging like $100 for tickets and they're charging 15.
Yeah.
And they find out on live TV and they're just like, what the?
Yeah.
Oh, please put that in here.
Wow.
Madonna charges $50, apparently.
Thank you so much.
So let's start, as I did with race horses, let's start with the costs of a stadium tour. And this will probably help with your
Income statement.
income statement. So the venues is a massive driver. A low-end stadium is about $250,000 a night.
Holy.
The high-end stadiums, some of the new soccer stadiums, some of the big ones in the States are up to $1.5 million.
That fascinates me because like I know there would be a lot of operating costs to flick a stadium on, to put seats on the grass, all that stuff. But they're not being used for anything like on a Wednesday night in the,
Yeah.
You've just made the argument. You know what you are? You're one of these billionaires trying to get the public to pay for your new stadium.
Yeah.
That's
Ed,
it's what you are.
My dream is to bring back the 1980s and once again have the Sydney Swans in private ownership and for me to be that private owner.
That's a great idea.
And I will be asking the Sydney taxpayer to foot the bill for the stadium.
You know what? You go high. You wouldn't go far off. Well, they won't pay for the toilets at Leichhardt Oval, so you get a fair way ahead of you.
So the venue is a massive contributor, and that's obviously it's not just the one night of the tour that you have it. You've got the 3 days bump in, the
bump
3
in.
days bump out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it can millions for the crew. Some of these tours, the Swift tour, Elton John tour, have over 1,500 people working on site.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You've also then got tour managers, stage lighting, sound, visual, security, merch, medical, dancers, musicians, catering, drivers. The U2 360 tour had 32 18-wheel trucks that drove around to each. 32. It took 3 days to set up with over 300 people working on just the stage.
Wow.
Yeah. So between venue and crew, you're starting to really add up. Then you've got transport, flights. A tour bus is $2,000 a day just to drive you around. Here's a fun fact. Metallica on their tour, they hated each other, so they each had a separate tour bus.
No way.
Yeah.
So did
Oh my God.
that's around the Some Kind of Monster era. Great music documentary. One Direction also had separate minivans because I was mates with the head of security at Suncorp Stadium when they played in Brisbane. And I went and saw it. And I'll never forget it. He was on the radio. He goes, "What? which one? And he goes, mate, because they were late. And I go, what's up? He goes, mate, one of them's bloody van got, because they've all got separate vans in case there's an accident. So like the royal family.
Yeah.
so it's not-
It's a
like the
safety
royal
measure,
family.
so they don't all die.
Yeah, he goes, mate, one of them's bloody back at the hotel. You have to, oh God, what's the one called? The sort of scowly one? I go, Zane? He goes, yeah, mate, bloody hell, he's late apparently. Anyway, this will take a while. He left the band after that concert.
Wow.
How bad was the van driver? What was he talking about?
So One Direction were doing it for security because if like a van got hit, the other
they
four
could.
could
And
continue
also
on.
Yeah.
But Metallica did it because they just were
Hated each other.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
still together.
Still
They
together.
worked it out.
The two, I
Oh,
think
they're back in the same bus?
Yeah.
back,
So, yeah.
Well, they're back together. Well, they're still going.
They're
Yeah.
still playing.
Yeah, they're
They
still
have a
playing.
business relationship.
And hey, that's all you can ask
Yeah.
for.
So $2,000 a day driving the talent around everywhere. Then there's accommodation, insurance, taxes, food. Food's a massive one if you're catering for all the 1,500 people that are coming in and out. The stage build is pretty amazing. So, Sheeran is one example where you don't need a lot, but there's estimates that in Swift's most current tour, her stage is up to $20 million build.
Shut up.
Yeah.
For each city.
Yeah.
That's screens in it.
Yes. Like,
She doesn't have catapults.
well, if you think about the fact that they're doing a 360 like in the MCG or whatever,
And
all that
screens.
shit,
There'll be like wires and
screens,
bring it
yeah.
up
Yeah,
and
screens
down
in that.
and-
Yeah.
It's nuts, yeah.
So I assume you're keeping a tally and you're going to
Yeah,
give us
so-
a cumulative number. 'Cause,
Yeah, so I mean, it changes per everything, and so a lot of the online sort of estimate and conversation was that at the top end, Elton John, Swift, Beyonce, even Rolling Stones, it's $1 million a day.
oh my God.
Yeah, to get the tour on the road.
But that, like, if you were saying just stadium hire could sometimes be $1.5 million, like, it could be a lot more than that.
It could be a lot more, but if generally it's about $1 million a day, and for example, Ed Sheeran did something like, what did he do? He did
Other people's songs?
3 other people's songs.
No.
He did 200. He did 200. He did 200.
You work for a hit radio station. You can't say that.
What do you want from me? He wins some, he loses some. Like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. So $1 million a day. Let's use that as our figure.
And importantly, it's not just $1 million a day the concert's on.
No,
It's
that's the
$1 million
key.
bucks every off day.
Oh,
Four-
yuck.
4 days
Off
track,
days.
4 days.
Oh,
Yeah.
yuck.
That's where it really adds up. Because if you're doing 50 shows, no. It's $1 million a day for the 3 years that you are touring or whatever it may be.
Imagine trying to do HR for a tour like that, like managing people's annual leave and stuff like
Oh,
that.
no, that's the worst job. You've just found the worst job in showbiz. You found it. Congratulations. The worst job in showbiz.
Now you have to do it.
Ouch.
So that then obviously brings us to the revenue side of things because it gets quite juicy. And obviously it makes sense that you're very successful if you're able to do a stadium tour and sell out.
Yeah.
So we know that there's money there, but just how much money? 1980s, the highest grossing stadium tour was,
Aerosmith?
no, Pink Floyd.
I'm an idiot. I should have known that. Yep.
135 million in today's numbers, adjusting for inflation, 318 million.
How many, like, do we know how many stops or anything?
So that was with 197 shows.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah, over 2 years.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah. The 1990s, the Rolling Stones were the highest grossing,
yeah.
320 million, and that was with 129 shows.
Okay.
And not a new hit for 20 years by that stage.
True.
Now, I'm not having a go. I'm just saying they were a classic hits act in the 90s.
Yeah. So not only were they the number one, grossing in today's figures 614 million from that tour, they were also the number two for the 1990s when they went on tour in the final 2 years of the 90s and grossed an additional 500 million. So they cleared over $1 billion in the 90s in today's.
So is AC/DC on that list anyway?
AC/DC is not in the 90s.
So they
No.
go in Europe, they play arenas or some state, but when they go to South America, that's where it kicks in. Like you'll find the Maracanã, the Brazilian football stadium. The record for most people at it is for a tour of some.
Paul McCartney?
Yeah, it might be
Yeah.
by himself.
Paul McCartney, by himself, not with the Beatles, in 1990, 184,000 people.
At the Maracanã in Brazil.
Wow.
Well, there's cash money.
Yeah.
So 2000s, the Rolling Stones again were the number one
My
grossing.
God.
Yeah, with in today's figures, 787 million. So
Hold on, 787 million.
Yeah.
And what? A couple of years?
so that was the 2000s that they cleaned up, and that was 144 shows across 2 years.
So 2 years, so 365 days a year. So call it 700 for 700 days for ease of maths. $1 million a day. So they cleared a. Have I done that maths right? Yeah.
787. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
yeah.
So 787.
But
they
it would have been
brought
less
in.
then. The cost would have been less back then.
True, but even using that, 787 in revenue, 700 million in cost.
so they've cleared 87.
I reckon they've cleared at least double that.
Yeah.
Me too.
yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
I reckon the million you could give or take it like the few days either side of the
All right,
concert.
well, and then there's annual leave entitlements where everyone goes, but either way, they're making a lot more profit than
Yes,
anything else we've
yes.
spoken about so
Yeah,
far.
that's true.
So 2010's Elton John, and he has the record currently for the highest grossing tour of all time, 957 million. But his tour was ridiculous. He did 320 shows over 5 years.
Because he only walks up on stage. He doesn't do anything. They all set it up. Elton John gets there, walks out of a van, walks on stage, starts playing, finishes, walks off.
Great.
He only does the bits that he's needed, that he's needed.
That's
It's all
it.
set up perfectly for him.
What else?
And he
Like,
sits down.
what else would an artist
No
do?
dancing,
Like,
rehearsals.
There's no dancing. There's no
Yeah.
rehearsals.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
don't
yeah.
have to, Taylor Swift does a very smart thing where she'll, like, if she's in Canada, she'll go, oh my God, I got a friend coming out. And Brian Adams comes out and they do Summer of 69.
True,
where
true.
if you want to do that with Elton, you better do one of his songs. You can be
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Coldplay, let
Yeah.
you do one of his.
Yeah.
So the Rolling Stones are the highest grossing live music act of all time, which is not surprising. They've collected almost $3 billion
Good on 'em.
in live show from live shows
Once again.
alone. Yeah.
Haven't had a new song
Yeah.
hit the charts in 30 years.
Yeah.
I actually
It's nuts,
respect
yeah.
that discipline to be like, guys, we're not going to screw the golden goose here. People love our old stuff. I know we're tempted to keep writing music. We're on the road. We're playing music every day, but we're not going to do it.
I agree with you.
It takes so much discipline.
But I also find it interesting of where they get new fans. So the Foo Fighters are about to do a huge tour, right? How have the Foo Fighters got a new fan? How are they playing bigger venues than they used to?
Is it just that they don't need new fans? Is it just that you get your fans in your 20s and you just keep playing to them
Pearl
as they
Jam.
get
I
older?
think it is. Coldplay is an example.
Yeah.
I reckon they'd have new fans from.
You reckon?
Yeah, I reckon
Well,
there's been enough placement of Coldplay songs in culture that would make them
All
still
right, here you go.
Yeah,
find a
like they did
newer
that
song.
BTS
Here you go.
song.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Chili
yeah.
Peppers. What about the Chili Peppers?
Perfect example.
Okay, so in
Yeah.
2000, they're on tour right now. They've done 42 shows. Average attendance per show, 46,000 people. And they've already cleared 240 million.
So their album, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, is released, the same day as Nevermind? As Nirvana's Nevermind? It was certainly the same week.
Yeah.
Like,
nuts.
it hasn't been non-stop cavalcade of hits
No.
in the 2000s.
At all.
No, if
These are
anything,
classic
it's got
hits
a lot-
acts.
yeah,
These are
yeah.
classic hits acts that I'm not knocking them in any way, but I'm saying it's interesting.
Bruce
That-
Springsteen.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, he's still going on tour right now. He's done 36 shows, 20,000 people per show, a bit less, but he's already cleared 142 million.
So Bruce Springsteen raises a question which might derail this whole conversation, but Springsteen sold his back catalogue to
We
a
did this.
music label. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that he's on tour singing these songs that he doesn't own anymore, does he have to, as part of these tours, do they have to then pay the record
I
label
think
to
they
use their
work
songs?
out that deal. I think it's like publishing versus
Live?
Yeah, I think there's
okay.
a caveat to
Yeah.
that exact problem that they sorted out so that they
Right.
could keep touring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's in the
'Cause
record label's
Thank you.
interest.
They want
yeah.
them. They want Bruce out there because then people will buy it.
Yeah.
Here you go. I'm looking at the 2020 list of this decade. The Rolling Stones are back at it. 14 shows last year, and they've cleared 120
It's
million.
fucking incredible.
How old's Mick Jagger now?
Oh my God.
77?
He's a walking
Jeez.
corpse, and they're still getting 50,000 people
fit.
at their show.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. He's an
50,000.
He's got a lot
athlete.
of kids to feed.
Oh my God, it's just nuts. Anyway, so the record is with Elton John, 333 shows across 5 years, $817 million. But Ed Sheeran, it was close behind over 2 years, 255 nights, 775 million. 9 million tickets sold across 6 continents. 9 million tickets.
Well, that actually feels low to me. Off 255 shows, did you say?
No,
Yeah,
it's
255
a lot of
shows.
people.
9 million people coming to see you play. That's ridiculous.
It's like the population of.
Yeah, okay, that's an average of 35,000 a show. Yeah.
So Ed, there's only 34,000 in tonight. Oh no!
What
Yes.
What the fuck is this?
Oh, it's an intimate one.
Yeah, exactly. It's a club show.
Yeah.
We are never coming to Angola again.
I'll do it acoustic.
Yes.
But that brings us to Swift, who's just on another level entirely. So she's only released 50 shows and all sell out. So it's already grossed 600 million
For 50 shows.
for 50 shows on her current schedule. So keep in mind, she's done 50. Ed did 255. Her ticket price is light years above anyone else.
Yeah.
She grosses between 12 and 14 million dollars per show.
Wow.
And that's and then on top of that, clears $2 million a night in merchandise.
That's for one T-shirt. For 1 million, you can be a boyfriend for a month.
So all she needs to do is slightly double the amount of shows she's done. She's still well off the pace for the current record holders, and she will have a $1 billion tour.
So has there ever been $1 billion tour?
No,
Yeah, no.
not in like current.
There you go.
Inflation adjusted.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
They'll put on a show. If they come and say, Ms. Swift, one more show in Copenhagen and we can tick over, bang, we'll do it.
Yeah.
But it's actually
Ego's
it's
gonna
a
kick
race
in,
at the moment
Well,
between her and
Beyonce,
Beyonce. Yeah. So Beyonce is also touring and is also on track to hit $1 billion. So, I mean, Swift, when she came to Sydney, they sold out in an instant. So she released, I think, 4 more shows.
Yeah.
So I don't think she's even opened half of the Europe.
So last time she came, she couldn't sell Perth and Adelaide. She couldn't sell it out. Hence the East Coast bias. And so, something's happened in culture, and I don't know what it is, that has put Taylor. She's released probably more relevant music in that time than Beyonce. That's probably a fair statement. And she's never out of consciousness in pop culture, Taylor. And so now you're seeing the results of that. The results of good, consistent music, staying in culture, away I go, then this is the result of that. This is a marked increase in the amount of tickets she sold since last time. So
Massive.
she's going up.
Yeah, massive.
But what's weird about it is so are the Rolling Stones. How? My point is that they are not in culture. They are not being played on apart from classic hits radio. How? How do they keep gaining new people to go to concerts?
I reckon they're not gaining new people. I
But they
reckon
have
that's
to
where
be.
you're getting stumped. Like, I reckon it's like our parents' generation are still going.
I agree.
And what, it's just more
wife's-
expensive?
My wife's,
Yeah.
my father-in-law has just been to every single Bruce Springsteen tour that comes to Australia.
Okay, but
He just goes, done.
but there are more people there than last time.
So
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just tickets are getting more expensive.
I mean,
So
tickets
in
are
20,
definitely getting
in
more
2020,
expensive, yeah.
tickets are getting more expensive.
But
for
it's
sure.
like if
So-
they sold out a stadium, unless it's like Sydney where they knocked the stadium down and built a new one, you're sort of capped.
So 50,000 average per night for Rolling Stones this decade. In the 2010s, 50 on the nose. In the 2000s, 32,000 average attendance.
Okay, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, so they are getting more.
Yeah, but bigger stadiums now. In the 90s, 50,000 on the nose as well.
Oh,
And-
what?
yeah, and in the 80s.
Oh, so they dropped.
in the
dropped
80s,
in the
57,000. They've dropped in the 2000s. Something happened in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a new album. Driving people away.
I also think there's probably like a nostalgic seeing the best vibe. Like,
No, of course that is the case.
we
But
might-
yes, but I think also people are taking their kids now. Like
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Kiss,
for
who's
sure.
about to do another tour.
Yeah.
You always see the dads in the gear, in the face stuff, and now the kids in the face stuff as well. So they're sort of passing it down.
I do like where you are right is now I'm thinking about Elton John and it's like they made the movie, his music is everywhere. He's done the Dua Lipa,
Heaps of remixes.
Yeah.
It's plausible that you are now more aware of Elton John as a 20-year-old than a 20-year-old in 1990 was about the Rolling Stones. That is absolutely the case.
Yeah.
artists similar
Definitely.
aging, but yeah.
The culture is just more nostalgic as well.
Well, the slow cancellation of the future. If you're ready to get bored, we can really get into it.
I've never heard that before.
Mark Fisher, look it up on YouTube. If you want the whole of culture explained to you in one 45-minute lecture by a guy sitting at a table, then look up Mark Fisher, the slow cancellation of the future. That is exactly what's taking place with culture.
It's probably a lot more insightful than this podcast, but
How dare you.
give us until the end of this episode before you go find that. All right, Bryce, bring it home.
So then that turns to the profit margins here.
Hey Equity Mates, it's producer Sasha here. Unfortunately, when the guys were recording this, we didn't notice that the sound card actually ran out just a little bit before the end, only 10 minutes or so. So I've taken the audio from the video cameras, because this is all on YouTube, and I've cleaned it up as best as I can, and hopefully this gives you the rest of the episode without too many problems. So apologies from me for the less than stellar sound quality for the end of this episode, but I hope you agree, having such a good time, I really didn't want to finish it there.
So then that turns to the profit margins here.
Nice.
So apparently, according to an anonymous source who's currently on tour with Taylor through the New York Times, they only need to sell between 30 to 50% of the venue to break even.
I thought that, yeah. If the bigger venue actually becomes better value.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
Economies of scale.
Yeah.
And so where does the money go? Taylor and her team take away 85%.
Good.
Of the profit.
I read it as revenue.
Okay.
Because,
All right.
I reckon you need to, knowing record companies and knowing touring
because
companies. You would need to say, dudes, costs, that pillow is going to cost you.
Because,
That air you're breathing, that ain't cheap.
Because it's carved up between, that 85% is carved up between Taylor or the musician, the promoter, the booking fee, ticket tax,
How much do they get?
10%.
It's a
Clearing
good business.
Yeah. 10% booking fee. Promoter takes roughly 15%, and then the act takes the rest. So Ed made profit $365K a day. So they don't have the numbers out for Taylor yet, but you can imagine off a gross $1 billion, call it, if she does $1 million a day and it's 300 days and she does 100 shows across those, if she doubles what she's doing now, 700 million to play with at the end of the day.
So I've just
Between promoter, between her.
I've just looked up Taylor Swift's current net worth is $740 million. So it could almost double.
Yeah. And you can understand why these Rolling Stones guys, like I'm just looking at the most recent tour last year, Coldplay, 342 million. That was the highest grossing of 2022.
Great if you're the bass player. It's like a holiday.
Oh my god.
It is a dead set holiday. If you are the bass player for Coldplay, you are the bass player for Coldplay, it is a holiday.
It's just a gold mine, and I think the theme that we've taken out of a lot of the episodes we've done as well is the flow-on effect of like, okay, she'll do merch and like turn it into the Netflix doco of Backstage and
I should have.
all of that stuff.
You have to do so key to all of this, sorry, I can't believe I haven't bored you with this yet, is to make sure in the intervening years that you do a tell-all documentary that you wrote and produced yourself about how hard it was for you to put that show on, but you did it for the fans. The list of people that have that because my wife watches all of them, so I get sent from the room for shouting.
Oh yeah, you would be the worst to watch something like that with.
That's not very nice. So, I'll have you know I'm the worst to watch a lot of things with. And I get sent from the room the second they do the black and white handheld shot of Taylor saying, just my voice, but I need to do it for the people of Stockholm. I get sent from the room for shouting, she approved that edit, yeah? She added the music underneath and she chose that shot because they told her which corner. This is a stadium, yeah? But they knew which corner to find Taylor crying in with a camera crew and no one else doing any other work in the background. You know that took place, yeah? Ed, you can... All right, I'll go. I'll go if you admit that that's what took place.
Anyway,
That's what happens.
Miss Americana, good documentary.
It's horrific. It is more full of lies than insert whatever political thing you disagree with here.
But anyway, long story short.
She's a great artist.
Long story short. Well, my thing here is...
Great music, I should say.
I
Great
was
stuff.
looking forward to seeing how much the tickets go for
they can too.
next time.
Oh, interesting.
Next time. Like, it feels like the trend here is it's now the norm to pay ridiculous money. Like, I think Taylor has shown that people are prepared to pay stupid money.
Sorry, did we get that number? What's the average ticket price?
300, you said, wasn't
For
it?
hers?
Yeah.
No, the average, $370. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was like
you could pump that.
That was the base. Well, no, so the average for her last show was like, I think 90 something, close to Ed. So she's just come out and gone.
But also,
See you.
I've got to see her. Yeah, I've got the demand here.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, all right.
there's
Here's
money in
the
it.
big question: will she play Perth and Adelaide next time, or are they blacklisted because she couldn't sell them out?
I reckon we're going to start getting into this other thing that's happened where for some reason state governments have become concert promoters.
Yeah, paying big money to get them
Why the
across.
did the people of Western Australia pay for Coldplay to play a one-off show?
Because the people of Western Australia paid for Optus Stadium to get built, and now they need a return.
and now as punishment, you've got to watch Coldplay. So that
Well, I didn't get into the economic impacts, but we know it's there.
yeah, but you know what? But that is the very odd thing of saying why should we taxpayers
Well,
are paying for these bands to come and play?
We
Why?
try, like state governments will pay for like the F1 to move
Yeah.
around and stuff like that. We tried to get state governments to pay for FinFest to move around. Couldn't quite get
Yeah.
the middle there.
Well, that is tragic. The Whitlam's playing. I don't even know what that is.
I know.
Yeah, I know the Whitlam.
Great band.
Yeah. They wouldn't play FinFest. They're too big for us still.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, according to the Oxford Economics Report, this is for the US, the stadium tour industry led to a total nationwide economic impact of $132 billion, created 913,000 jobs.
The one question that I have, I feel like we've looked at the good side of stadium tours. Have there been any stadium tours that just flopped?
Yeah, they're
Guns N'
not so
Roses
much
has
stadium.
some-
Yeah,
yes.
a lot around Kanye West's Yeezy
Oh, yeah,
tour.
yeah.
Like the massive flops. He was hiring stadiums of 45,000 people. I think one of them 4,500K.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
They're just lawyers.
Yeah.
So with that is okay. That's a good one.
So there are flops.
But if you get to that point, someone somewhere, that boring job you were talking about, is doing the maths for you
True.
to say at half capacity at home. Those ones that I worked at, they were all sold out.
Yeah.
I remember that clearly. And just thinking, of the three, Michael Jackson's the best by a long way. Unbelievable.
You told us Madonna at the start of this one.
No, that was the boobs. Once that finished, no.
Yeah, so Kanye West is meant to be the worst. But anyway, we'll leave it there.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good spot to
there
leave
is money in stadium tours, big money.
I am playing SoFi Stadium in Las Vegas. That's what it's called.
You have been listening to an Equity Mates Media production. In the spirit of reconciliation, Equity Mates Media acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. This podcast is intended for education and entertainment purposes. Any advice is general advice only and has not taken into account your personal financial circumstances, needs or objectives. Before acting on general advice, you should consider if it is relevant to your needs and read the relevant product disclosure statement. And if you're unsure, please speak to a financial professional. The hosts of this podcast and their guests may have positions in the companies mentioned. Equity Mates Media operates under an Australian Financial Services Licence 540697.